we are then called to walk with her on a different kind of character growth arc from the typical ingenue to mature woman that we often see in romance stories specifically.
We're Heather and Natalie, the Romance Rippers, romance addicts and authors. We're here to help you craft stories that leave your readers begging for more. This is the time to get that story out of your head and give book lovers the emotionally satisfying ships they crave. Now let's get to the heart of romance. Very noisy today.
Yeah,
Here, it's a water break.
It's a water break. It's a nice day. I get it. But I'm in a zone.
Hi guys, it's Heather.
And Natalie.
We're the Romance Rippers.
Welcome. Happy Halloween! This month has been devoted to monster romance stories specifically, and today we are focusing on monstrous women. So we're looking at female main characters who are the monsters rather than being romanced by the monsters.
Mm-hmm.
What makes a monster romance in general? It's a romance story where at least one of the main characters who is part of the couple is a monster. So it might be a vampire, a werewolf, mermaid, selkie,
aliens. Like, we can go into
gargoyles.
Cryptids, gargoyles, yes.
Yeah.
There's a lot of options.
Yeah. And so one of those, that's one of the couple. And usually, generally, the other counterpart in the couple is a human.
There's one of each, a human and monster, within these pairings. And another key part would be the one that is put as the monster. They are a sentient being. They are able to consent, able to have emotional connections with their counterpart. So you don't get into some really wonky stuff.
One of the big appeals of this kind of story is that the monster and the human are so different from each other. And because of their differences, they're sent on a different kind of character arc and journey than they would have been on if they hadn't met each other.
These stories are also a really great way to explore more taboo subjects and be used as a great literary shortcut for these things within fiction. Due to the existence of one of the main characters in your pairing being monstrous, you have again these heightened differences, but also you can really explore common tropes that we see in every romance book, and you can often put very unique spins on it, be it the misfit or star-crossed lovers, oppressive societies, found family. They all can get this new flavor depending on how you want to treat the more monstrous character and the society that they're coming from. What we have found as both readers and writers is there is very much a lack of monstrous women within the subgenre of monster romance. There's a lot of monster men. I would say that is the main predominant through line.
By a long shot, yeah.
Yeah. And compared to how many books we're getting with monstrous men and having a really, I feel, rich amount of from cozy to dark romance and everything in between, it's very interesting to see that lack of the monstrous women. With how few there are, you even have less that get happily ever afters, because often they're the villains, they're the villainesses, or they are in the tragedies and or die at the end. And I think this seems like a really ripe place for authors to play in and explore different things that don't fit with monstrous men.
And when we look at the reasons why monstrous women are sidelined to the more just tragic in general or villain roles, there are It's a lot more of a complicated issue than we can deal with here, although we would love to talk about it in the future. We're going to focus on how monstrous women tend to embody the feminine essence, the being away of the feminine, that is simply put uncontrollable. She's not able to be controlled. She's chaotic. She tends to be very inward focused, so she's not as concerned about external validation, about what's going on outside of herself. She tends to be shameless. And she's comfortable with the spiral of just discerning destruction and creative rebirth that the feminine essence was created with. When we are very honest with ourselves about these kind of women, we feel that they're dangerous.
Again, part of that is a very much more in-depth conversation of why we don't get monstrous women like we do with monstrous men, or even, say, anti-heroes or villains that get the privilege, I would say, of being the romantic interest. We don't get that with women near as much as with men. So I think it's just a very interesting topic to dig into, how they can be so interesting to write, and exploring different avenues that I think a lot of women want to explore, but they don't know where to look for it.
For a lot of authors, it's difficult with monstrous women because if they're writing for romance readers who are interested in men specifically, which we're talking generalities in this, men and women romance, such a protagonist is a bit of a hard sell. Because while we're attracted to dangerous men, like we talked about in our Monstrous Men episode, we become very uncomfortable when we're confronted with women who are uncontrollable.
Yeah, I think that's also why often, again, they get relegated to the villain, and why there's so many iconic female villains. That, like, I'm sure you have several that comes up for you, but I'm thinking of, like, Mrs. Danvers, like, scary.
Rebecca, a huge amount, like all the evil queens in Disney movies and fairy tales. We relegate women who desire more, just have this insatiable desire for more, which is a feminine trait, as being too much, and therefore she will consume everything, and that's why she's a villain. We don't know socially how to deal with that. We haven't created a society where that is acceptable, and that makes writing these women feel daunting.
But also the safety of writing fiction, it's a really good place to do it as well.
It's a really good place to experiment. We really deeply desire empowered women. We desire female main characters who are powerful and empowered. But we've reached a point where that's okay as long as they're empowered in ways that men are empowered, which is externally doing things, leading armies, promotions, or finally telling the misogynist to stick it where the sun don't shine. Like, those are the kinds of ways that we're comfortable with women being powerful. But that isn't always how...
It's not the only way someone can be powerful.
And it's not the only way that a lot of these monstrous women would be powerful. So there's absolutely nothing wrong with wanting to see women be empowered in this way. There's a time and a place for it. But there's something interesting that happens when we authors create women who are monstrous, because they are monstrous. That is like what and who they are. They enter a space of I am rather than I do. Like, I am the monster. I am this powerful being inherently.
And it's the internal validation versus being like, oh, I do this to gain power. Versus I am, the power is already... You're already powerful. Exactly. You're already inherently worthy.
And so this kind of woman, it feels very untamed by our social standards, and we're really uncomfortable with that chaos. And so it's easier to relegate her to a villain role or to just like a tragic figure
with all of that complexity. And also the fact that this is not really in the zeitgeist as much, it leaves a lot of authors and probably readers as well asking, who is a monstrous woman as a protagonist? And I feel like, it's quite a good literary shortcut for women, specifically because it not only taps into the like the universal fantasy and question that is inherent within romance as a genre of, am I lovable? Can I be loved? Can I find love? But it also folds in the, can I be fully myself? Can I fully express myself and be safe in that?
Because the strangeness of her monstrous form and the additional powers that likely come with it amplify her feminine essence. They amplify that question of, can I be fully expressed? Like, she could be a vampire who is able to take life and give it in a different form. She may be a werewolf who is so connected with the moon that she loses herself completely to the wildness and animalistic nature that is the wolf part of her. She may be a siren whose voice and sexuality cull men of the sea who she doesn't deem are worthy. Or she may be a witch whose link to the earth and to spirits allows her to manipulate people and events to her liking.
From that list, whatever monstrous form she has, she is formidable. And be that from birth, like she is born like monstrous. I'm thinking of like the siren. Or if it is circumstances learned, like I feel like more of the witch. There is a certain amount of like both learning, knowledge, and then also instinct in some of those. It's really feels like it has us authors having to recognize that these female characters that we are writing in a monstrous way already know that they are powerful within the story. And usually at the beginning of the story, they have power. They're not powerless.
And when this is the case, we are then called to walk with her on a different kind of character growth arc from the typical ingenue to mature woman that we often see in romance stories specifically. She may have some naivety, but it's not going to look the same as the wide-eyed ingenue who has never seen the world before. When we women specifically only see ourselves in that coming of age arc, it can be very challenging for us to let that even go because we wonder, well, what comes after that? Because socially we're told you become a woman and then you die. Like, that's actually what we get told. Like, you're young, you're beautiful, you get married, you have kids. And then after that, that's too bad. Like, and that's not really about age. That's about archetypes. That's about character growth and that we translate into our own journeys.
Oh, totally. And it's definitely, I would say, not about age, because I know I've been, I can pick up a book and the character is 16 to 18 years old. And there are books I can also pick up where she is in her 20s or 30s and they're still going through the same coming of age journey,
right?
Because they've not actually gone through that process, even if the characters are aged up.
Right. Yeah, because you have the maiden to mother, and that's what a lot of these, like the stories that we're seeing are, and those are appealing. But we as women want to know, even if you aren't like actually a mother, the archetype of mother to crone. We don't know what's in that space because we're not shown those stories. And the monstrous woman in a lot of ways taps into mother to crone, even if she's young. Because that inherent monstrousness, those powers that she already knows she has, means that she's a little bit potentially mature for her age. She doesn't even maybe get the luxury of that maiden arc. Some options of journey arcs to take her on is, how does she become even more herself? How does she make peace with all of her because there are likely parts of herself that she really doesn't like, or she herself is afraid of, or she sees the overculture around her is afraid of, and so she has been conditioned to be afraid of it as well.
Or making herself smaller.
How can she focus inward more on what's best for her, and how can we watch as the society around her, or at least her immediate family or friends or whomever are around her, recognize, oh, this might be a better way to exist. And these questions and other ones that whatever you can come up with, when woven with a romance story and a worthy partner, can offer us women new perspectives on the greatness that already lies within us.
In general, with Monstrous Women, it really taps into a desire a lot of us romance readers have, which is the desire to be loved as you are.
Life teaches the monstrous woman that she will either bend to the will of her overculture by suppressing her true nature, or she'll risk being unloved. And this raises attention automatically in the story because it creates an inner conflict between two pivotal parts of herself. It seems to have one of those things, she must betray another part of who she is. Since it's very hard for the monstrous woman to hide her wild nature due to being a monster, she is spares of finding love at all, because life has taught her that her chaos, her sharp edges,
is too much.
Yeah, that insatiable desire for more. Like, she doesn't always even know what she wants more of. She just wants more of life. She can't have that. And that's sad, because she wants a partner. She wants someone who loves her that way. And it's something that we human women deeply relate to, because we are also afraid that if somebody sees those parts of us that we deem unacceptable, we're going to be abandoned.
That's why Monstrous Women, I feel like, could be so compelling to read as your main protagonist within like the traditional roles of genre romance. And getting to see those messy parts of those characters be loved. I feel like that can be really cathartic and healing for writers to write and also readers to read.
Yeah, because someone who is so wholly wild and chaotic and sharp and consuming as in just one's life, is still worthy of love. Another aspect of the monstrous woman, specifically in romance, and how wild and fully feminine like essence she can be, is that there is a unique masculine essence complementary for her. Men are drawn to mystery and intrigue, and no woman has these more than a monstrous woman. She's uniquely physical, like her physicality is unique. Her way of looking at the world, her general proclivity for privacy, probably, and her unsuppressible wildness captivates him and makes him feel alive. He sees so many potential ways that life could go for them because she's powerful and they can build something together.
The inverse of that, a more immature man, potentially a foil to your main lead, is going to feel threatened by that, by the unknown, versus be invigorated by that, and potentially even attempt to destroy her, which I feel like we do see those storylines, especially when we're talking about monstrous women who are set as villains, or the tragic figures. You definitely get, I feel like, more of those, for lack of a better word, pairings within character dynamics.
And this is why Black Flag, or even a lot of Red Flag romantic male leads, don't make very believable partners for the monstrous woman unless the story gives those main male characters a very compelling arc towards maturity. It's going to feel like a forced happy ending, and we don't want that as authors or readers.
So in contrast, though, with the immature man, a man who is confident in his own self, his own masculinity, his own self-worth, is going to want to step up. And I know we see that, I think, with just regular romance, but there seems to be this heightened sense of that with monstrous women in a different way than what we usually see in what's being published currently.
Yeah, when you have a woman who's already naturally so powerful, like, she doesn't need him to protect her. She can protect herself, at least, in the very basic of survival, generally. It's going to require him to step up beyond, like, the bare minimum of making sure she doesn't die. And, in a lot of stories, you're going to have life or death, and he is going to have the opportunity to protect her from death. But he's going to have to, where his real calling in is making sure that she's safe to be fully expressed, that she's free to be fully expressed. Because in that point, she can show up fully as herself.
The emotional acceptance and safety.
And he's going to protect her, he's going to honor her, he's going to respect her, and he's going to love her. And the other thing that this kind of man is capable of doing is corralling her when her own chaos threatens to swallow her or other people around her. Because that is a true and understandable fear and a genuine conflict that can arise with the monstrous woman, is that her monstrous nature starts to overconsume. It can destroy thoughtlessly. And a strong man who's confident and secure and powerful in his own right can say, hey, honey, this is not the way we need to do it. We don't need to burn the whole thing to the ground. Not today, at least.
Not today. I haven't really played with this dynamic, but it is definitely like that wild, chaotic feminine, and then also like a confident, solid masculine character dynamic that really can make a compelling and authentic feeling power couple, because they both need each other to balance themselves out while still being themselves fully, which is delicious.
We recognize that at the end of the story, when we get that happily ever after, they're going to thrive together.
Yes.
They're going to do big things in the world.
With talking to you about this subject, it feels like also for monstrous women, it is a bit of a permission slip for authors to get to explore themselves internally. Their potentially more feminine dynamics and their spirit within themselves, when it could be labeled as weird or taboo or just wild,
crazy.
Yes. And it just feels like a really good reminder that these aspects within ourselves are lovable. They're not inherently bad. It's what we do with them. But even if others don't understand those pieces that are within us that we have, that we feel are potentially not understandable, it's okay, because the monstrous woman character, us as the readers, we can be okay with not needing external validation for it. We love also finding someone, reading about a character finding someone who loves them and embraces all of them.
And the more we see ourselves through this specific literary shortcut, the more comfortable we're going to become with all aspects of ourselves, especially that kind of crazy feminine essence that we've been trained to shut down. And while Monstrous Women is still a very, very small subgenre of romance stories, we hope that the interest in monster romance in general, how it's kind of exploding right now, as a whole, is going to bring about more romance authors who are interested in delving into this kind of stuff and seeing the monstrous woman as a really excellent romance story protagonist. They deserve their happily ever afters, and we deserve to see them get their happily ever afters.
If you have a favorite monstrous woman character, story, book that you want to share, please do. Because again, this is a very niche subgenre, and I feel like if you are vibing with this energy, it's hard to find books. It's hard to find those stories. So community is a great place where we get to share those things with each other.
Yeah, we would love to hear it in the comments below. Thank you so much for joining us this week. Happy Halloween, and we will talk to you again next time. Bye.
Thanks for joining us today. Like this video if you found it helpful, and subscribe for more romance writing tips and tea on Thursdays. You can also find us on other socials at The Romance Rippers. And before you go, share one of your tried and true romance writing tips below. We'll see you soon.